Oh, just a second.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the FPL Banger Show. My name is Siva. I'm joined by Sam for the Game Week 16 preview. Sam, final week before the World Cup. Now, first of all, are you excited for the World Cup?
I am, actually. Although it really sucks that so many people are missing out. I think we got news today that Reece James will be left out, right? We also got news that Mane, due to his injury last night, we're recording this on, what day is it? Wednesday.
Yeah.
Recording this on a Wednesday. So yeah, Mane went off last night and will also miss the World Cup, which is such a bummer for his nation after what he did to pull them, to qualify. So it's kind of, it's sad in a way, but, as football fans, you can't help but be excited for the World Cup. It's the World Cup.
Yeah, and we will, if you're not seeing our Twitter page, we will be playing World Cup Fantasy because we are addicts who cannot get enough of this nonsense. And we've already set up a mini league, so join in that. You'll see some, periodical World Cup content. I think I promised Sam we wouldn't do pods, but, who knows? Maybe
I'm not
we will.
around, Siva. And I'll be in UK. I'll be in, around the UK in December. So
Ooh, so you get to watch England get knocked out in the round of 16 in the UK. That's pretty cool.
I know. I'm bringing my England jersey just in case they make it far, Also bringing my Wales jersey just in case. Just bring 64 jerseys just in case one of them wins.
They talk about plastic fans at a club level, Sam. I'm impressed that you have taken plastic fandom to the international stage. Very, very impressed.
Well, because Malaysia's not in the World Cup, so, kind of free to support anyone you want.
Yeah, we have no choice. We'll latch on to any team that's doing well. I'm wearing a German kit right now. Come on, Deutschland, right? Like, got Musiala, got Sane. All right, we're digressing, right?
Muller's gonna miss the World Cup.
So depressing because Mueller's like the most chilled out guy. It's okay. Speaking of guys who are going to the World. Sorry, what's that?
Yeah. You want to get off the World Cup subject, right?
No. I did want to talk about it going into the final week because I saw a lot of theories this week about how, as a popular theory on Twitter seems to be that people like De Bruyne, for example, may get rested or subbed off early because there's a World Cup next week. Now, to me, that just seems like total fantasy kind of booking. Like, it's just, for me, it's not going to happen. Mane's injury, yes, unfortunate, but I think that's just proof that these guys are professionals and they're going to just keep going. Okay, you'll get some guys like maybe, say, Gareth Bale, who is specifically conserving his body for the World Cup. But I think your top-level professionals, they just can't help but giving everything.
In Bale's case, though, I think they already played the last game of the season. So
yeah.
And
he scored in that. But
and he scored, helped. What team is he in? LAFC. In their version of a cup. So MLS Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. But anyway, I don't think that's gonna happen, man. Because as much as the players value the World Cup and the clubs want to make the players happy, they still gotta get the points in. Can't be. City without KDB. There's every chance that they won't win that game.
The Fulham game is a perfect example of how you really can't take anything for granted in this league, right? Because City were 60 seconds away from not winning that, and on another day they probably lose that game. Like, they had to play to their maximum level just to hold on to the draw, and a lot of that was KDB because they lost Cancelo to the early red card. So they had no holding midfielder because Rodri dropped into centre back. So KDB was basically playing all over the pitch. Did everything. He set up the offside goal, which Haaland scored and was disallowed. He bought the penalty, right? That was like a very, not a dive, but it was smart play, right? He turned and got the contact. So yeah, I can't see KDB getting rested. It's not like Brentford's the kind of game, on paper at least, that Pep's going to go in thinking, yeah, we're definitely going to win this. I think he's definitely going to go with the best team, get the win, maybe early subs after they've scored. But if they've scored, chances are KDB or Haaland, all the big guys will be involved.
Yeah. I think if they're fit, they will play. However, if they are kind of semi-injured, then maybe they will sit that last game out to help their recovery for the World Cup, if that makes sense.
Yeah. The existing fitness is fair enough. I think that's fine. And for some players, in fact, this final round of fixtures is pretty important because they may not be starters for their country, right? Guys like Trossard, for example, is not a starter for Belgium. He's for some reason still behind Hazard. But if he finishes off strongly against Villa, gets 2 goals, like that's a message to somebody like Roberto Martinez, start me in the game, match day 1 of the World Cup. So I think there's a lot more motivation for these players, even in teams who aren't chasing for anything. They will still go all out this week.
Yeah, 100% agree.
So with that, I think let's pivot to our punts coming into the final week, because there's only 1 week. You're not committed to any of these players. We get unlimited transfers the moment this week ends. In fact, there will only be 1 set of price rises after this week's deadline. So Saturday night, Sunday morning, depending on where you live. And then price rises will be frozen until the next GW17 deadline. So you got a lot of time to just chill. Making that 1 transfer, we had a question here from FPL Gato. For those of us who flew close to the sun and survived selling Foden and Haaland last week for De Bruyne and Alvarez. So this is a pretty popular move if you got early team news and you were able to log into FPL's amazingly stable and reliable website, which didn't crash at all. I mean, so easy to log on. So give us your top 4.5 punts, sub 8 million mids to replace KDB when you're reversing the move. Why don't you take this away, Sam?
I'm kind of annoyed that we didn't do the pod last week, Siva, because I had punts prepared. And then, the reason why we couldn't do it was because I caught COVID. So we had to cancel the pod. I was deathly sick. No, not deathly sick, but I was in bed, sleeping. But I had 3 punts prepared. James Maddison, side Benrahma. Who was my third one? Can't even remember now.
COVID has affected you so much you've forgotten who the third one was.
Yeah. But anyway, Benrahma and Maddison both scored last week, which was great. This week though, the third one's Rashford. The third one was Rashford, who also scored, right? No, he didn't score last week, sorry.
Famously, United
They scored the previous
rubbish.
game.
Yes, he did.
Yep. I still don't have confidence on United attack at all. I do not advocate getting for any United players, especially since Darlow will not be playing in game week 16.
What's the relevance of Darlow not playing to United midfielders, though?
Darlow provides a lot in the attack, which frees up the midfielders. When he doesn't play and we have to play Wan-Bissaka, we go back to the old team where the midfielders have to sit the wingers, at least the right wing, has to sit deeper because he doesn't offer anything going forward.
Do you think he plays Rashford on the right again? Because I was surprised to see Rashford on the... I don't know if I have it here on the screen. Okay, so this, right? So this is the average positions on the screen for United against Villa. Let's talk about Rashford because, like you say, right, you were thinking of Rashford as a punt last week, and I strongly considered Rashford in last week because he's got these 2 good fixtures. I thought they were good fixtures, Villa and Fulham. Now, against Villa, for some, I don't understand it, so maybe you can explain to me, maybe it's injuries or whatever. Van de Beek started, played quite a big chunk of the game. Rashford was on the right, Garnacho on the left. I explain this to me, Sam, because I don't really get it.
I think, when the Beek started because Bruno is suspended, right? And Ten Hag's really set on playing Eriksen as a deep-lying midfielder. Not a holding midfielder, I don't know. What you call that in between? As a centre midfielder.
Yeah.
And so that only leaves Van de Beek. So when the Beek goes up, I think Garnacho was just to reward because he played really well in the midweek game. So just to reward him, and hence he played Rashford on the right. I'm not really sure why he went Rashford over Anthony, who is a more natural right wing. And it's a known fact to United fans that Rashford is useless when he goes on the right. Yeah, it's a known fact. He only does well on the left wing, cutting in from the left wing. Really, in a really specific situation, Rashford only does well when a through ball comes in and he cuts in from the left wing. Yeah, but...
to be fair, his goal against West Ham, right? Not a through ball. He's learned how to head in the meantime. He's got
That's true. That's
pretty
true.
powerful header on him.
And that came from a cross from the right. Hence,
Eriksen.
why... Yeah, but who was kind of in that position, right? I just feel that Dalot not playing, Dalot has become such an essential part of the United attack, will just throw off the whole attack. And I'm just not confident in United at all this weekend.
Fulham, though, I mean, actually, let's talk about Fulham, right? Because it's hard to assess the City game because Fulham was so impressive from the start and they got the penalty very early on and the red card happened so early on that it affected the whole game, right? So it's maybe hard to draw a lot of conclusions from that. But I just thought very disciplined performance. Yes, they're playing against 10 men, but City didn't have... Until Haaland came on, I didn't really fear for Fulham. Although at the start of the game, they looked very open and Alvarez cut through really easily. Now, bringing that back to United, obviously United not as good as an attack. And I think you've been saying this, Sam. United's attack is not particularly cohesive when you compare it to the other top teams.
It's the lack of a proper good striker.
It's amazing to think we're saying this when Cristiano Ronaldo is starting every week, but I guess that's where we are.
I mean, he's 37, 38. How old is he? He's old. As good as he is. He's just not mobile, which is what Ten Hag's system needs. Which is why he prefers to play Rashford up top, just simply because he's more mobile, even though we know that Rashford plays the best from the left wing. So he's trying to force pieces into places they don't fit, just to kind of continue playing his philosophy, I guess. Kind of I think in his mind, they are placeholders until he can get, the players that he wants.
Square pegs in round holes, I think, is the expression.
Yeah, but he rather keep going at it so that everyone else who are in the proper positions get used to it, rather than change up the formation, So I guess he's thinking long term. Anyway, we're not a United tactics podcast. This isn't the United stand.
But basically, bottom line is if you don't own Rashford, you're not feeling that as a punt this week.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay.
And I don't like Rashford as a punt at all.
By extension, because I see people, I think sometimes people spend too much time thinking about these things, but I see some people suggesting Ronaldo as a punt. So I'm guessing you also do not feel Ronaldo is a viable move this week.
It wouldn't be my first choice. Although I have to say there are very few strikers like possible options as in the forward position this year or this week.
Yeah, we'll come back to strikers because I did want to talk about, because those of us who weren't able to access FPL's website last week, and I've learned a lesson. You need to download the app, which I haven't done in about 5 years, but I did it this week because you can't make transfers in the last 15 minutes. Some of us still have Mitrovic, right? So we'll have to talk about replacements for Mitrovic in a sec. But coming back to midfielders, I want to talk about somebody, Mitoma, Sam. And I don't know if we mentioned him on the pod, but I've been banging on Twitter about him for the last 2 months. Potter didn't really give him significant minutes, but under De Zerbi, he's gotten regular minutes. He started the last two. He was excellent against Chelsea, got an assist. And then against Wolves, got a goal and effectively set up the third goal as well. He's really cheap. He's 4.9 million. I feel if you can't afford any other punt this week, he's very easy upgrade from Andreas.
If you're going Mitoma though, would you rather just go for Trossard, who played as a striker the last game?
So I thought that, right? Because I brought in Trossard last week. But watching Wolves and Brighton, Mitoma was more attacking for me. Even though he's operating off the flank, so he's coming from a sort of a different area of the field, he drove into the box a lot more. He's all about dribbling and cutbacks. Whereas Trossard, if anything, was dropping deeper and deeper to help play. And once Welbeck came on, and Welbeck did come on 65 minutes, Trossard wasn't playing a striker anymore. So I think I don't mind Mitoma as a punt, especially it's just 1 week. It's not to say that Trossard has penalties. He doesn't have penalties. He doesn't have set pieces. So if you're just taking open play threat, I think it's worth a gamble. And Mitoma at 5, I mean, if you have 2 transfers this week, could offer you, you could get Mitoma and Kane, for example, depending on what you set up. Versus, and I really wish I did that, because if I got Mitoma last week, I'd have money to get Kane this week. By going Trossard, who's now 7 mil, you're kind of limited in your punts.
Are you confident on Kane though this week?
Against... Okay, we're going to forwards, are we? Okay, well, let's do it.
Not necessarily. Okay, we have Kulu here. Let's talk about Kulu and Spurs as a whole, I guess.
Very, very good segue, yes. Let's talk about Spurs as a whole. What did you think about the Liverpool... Okay, now before you go into what do you think about Spurs, I just don't understand what is it with Spurs. First 45 minutes, they don't show up. It's every bloody game I watch of Spurs this season. First 45 minutes, they don't play at all. And second half, they come in guns blazing after they've conceded when they're losing.
So Conte hairdryer treatment in halftime.
I don't get it. But they looked a lot better once Kulusevski was on the pitch. Like, they looked like a proper team once he was on.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely need... we talked about this, like, one of the earlier pods this season, where we spoke about how important Kulu is to the way Spurs play, just in general. Because there was a lot of talk about how his minutes might not be secured this year because of Richarlison and stuff like that. But yeah, basically, the way Conte operates, he needs someone who is left-footed to play on the right wing, and Kulu's the only one. So, when he plays a front three, although Son is now injured, so he didn't play a front three last week, but when he likes Kulu to cut in from the right side with his left foot and, put the balls into the box from there. Kulu's impressive, but I think the person who caught my eye the most in Spurs was Ivan Perisic, your favourite, Siva.
Favourites using a very loaded term, Sam. I've owned Perisic for most of the season to my detriment, and I went into the Liverpool match expecting nothing, and I really shouldn't have watched the game because he got my hopes up. He started as striker, he was all up in the action, hit the post, hit the bar, and somehow managed to return with the most exciting one-pointer, which Perisic is very good at doing, I must say. I liked Perisic.
Hit the bar twice, right?
Yeah, hit the bar twice. I like Perisic, and I see a lot of people thinking of him as a one-week punt this week. I think he's okay, but I don't think he's going to play striker because when Kulu came on, he moved back to the wing. They moved to sort of a 3-5-2, so it was back to left wing/left wing back, which I expect him to be there because, yes, he did okay as striker against Liverpool, but Kulusevski is just so much more mobile. Like, I noticed it when Spurs kept trying to counter in the first half. Having Perisic and Kane as your strikers is a really slow combination. Like, neither of them are going to break the lines and run past people, whereas Kulusevski does that. So I would assume Kulusevski and Kane are starting up front. So therefore, I'm not sure Perisic is like the best punt you can have this week. He's a good punt and I'm happy to have him, but I'm not sure if that would be my one transfer this week.
Yeah, I think, like you said, a lot depends on where he will play this coming week. If he plays as a striker, because I think he had 0.4 XG in the match, 0.5 XA, 3 shots, 2 of it hit the post, the last one was on target. So, like, really good if he plays up top again. But there's no guarantee for that. So,
Kulusevski though, I mean, I would be more interested. I feel like Kulusevski is a punt because I would expect him to start because he just improved them so much against Liverpool. He's going to play as effectively the second attacker to Kane. Assist potential. I mean, it took him 30 seconds to get that assist? You know what you get with Kulusevski. I'd be far more tempted by Kulu.
True. But is his ceiling really high though? I think he feels like he finishes most games with just an assist. Although he has been injured for a long time, so we do have a small sample size for this season. But if I remember correctly, last season, he got plenty of assists.
Did well against Norwich in that game, that final game of the season. He did well. No Son this time, so he doesn't have to split the returns. Did well at the start of the season against Southampton. I think the only issue isn't an issue, right? Because you were talking about Kane. Does Kane have a high ceiling, right? Like, Kane's been the most consistent forward in the whole game. Apart from Haaland, obviously.
But he's never scored more than 1 goal this season. Oh no, he did. Only 1 game against Nottingham Forest.
Don't you think
Every
Leeds
other game,
United
he just scores 1 goal.
is
One
the
goal,
kind of fixture? I mean, who concedes 3 goals to Bournemouth, right?
Yeah, but don't you think it feels really possible for Spurs to score 3 goals, but Kane only gets 1 dodgy goal from a corner somehow?
Yeah, but you see,
That seems like happen every week.
you can guarantee that he's going to get that dodgy goal. I mean, that's how consistent Kane has been. Whereas all the other striker, okay, we moved on to strikers, but all the other forward punts that you have, and I'm looking at them, okay, Kane's a budget issue, really. I think anybody who has the budget would be tempted. If you look at the lower guy, the 8 million guys, your Darwins, your Jesus, I think they've got decent ceilings, but they're also quite capable of blanking.
It's true. I hear what you mean, because I have Firmino and I have no idea who else to bring in except maybe Kane. Just doesn't, and Darwin's maybe, but like you said, Liverpool, everyone's hot on Liverpool just because they beat Spurs, but the last time they beat a top 6 team, they went on to lose to their very next game, right? So
what, Liverpool can only do it against the top teams now?
Liverpool only do it against top teams and only in the Champions League, unless they're playing against Real Madrid.
Didn't beat Arsenal, mate.
That's true.
Okay, we're sidestepping with the question.
Arsenal's not a top team then.
Hey. We're sidestepping the question. Okay, so we were supposed to talk about top 4. Let's sort of close up the mid section. And I think we can sort of do mids and
forwards.
So
close out the punts.
Yeah.
FPL Gato here asked us to give 4 punts. Did we give 4? We only give 3.
You didn't like Rashford, so I don't think he counts, right? I said Mitoma. You sort of half suggested Trossard. We agreed Kulusevski was a punt.
Maddison is still a viable punt, I think. Although West Ham at home, well, before last week I thought it would be a tough game, but then they considered 2 against Palace at home. And if I'm not mistaken, it's like the first time they considered. I'm not first time, but in the past 5 games, they've only considered like 1 open play goal at home or something like that. So I don't know what happened against Crystal Palace.
But Maddison's immune to all these stats, right?
That's true. So Maddison is there. Big motivation, I think, for him to secure a spot.
No, it'll be after the announcement, and I'm almost certain he won't have a spot. So let's talk about post-breakup motivation. Like when you're...
Yeah, it could be one of those, I'm going to prove to Southgate that, I deserve
I was
a
the
spot.
guy all along and you picked the wrong one.
Yeah. Better than Mason Mount and whoever else you're picking.
Rebound motivation is always very strong. I think...
that's true.
If anything, if Maddison gets picked in the World Cup squad, I would be less interested in picking him, I think.
Oh, you think he's going to, be on the beach?
Exactly. Whereas I think if he's not picked, he's going to score a brace and then just take off his shirt and then reveal I'm declaring for Ireland next season or something.
Yeah. So Maddison could be a punt. And he has very high ceiling, Mason Halls. So could be a good punt to take. Benrahma maybe, but Leicester are surprisingly somehow in the past 6 weeks turned into the best defense in the entire league. So
I will never insult anyone again. Okay, I don't know how he's stealing these clean sheets from. I don't even know how he's doing it. They become a solid defensive unit. Watford has been really good. Yeah, I can't. I don't think Leicester's a team to target.
Yeah, not anymore. So I wouldn't go for Benrahma anymore.
And Moyes doesn't seem to like Benrahma also, by the way, Sam. Did you notice?
But in the past few weeks, he has been starting Benrahma in all the important games. Rested him midweek. He
subbed him off after scoring against Palace. And his explanation, Moyes was saying, he didn't do much apart from the goal. This is what Moyes said. He didn't do and then when he was questioned because the fans are booing the substitution, he said, we've got a lot of experts out here. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, Moisey. Anyway, other than that, I don't know. I can't think of any more punts. Siva?
I think if you don't have Saka, that's a very easy pick. I still think Wolves is a very targetable fixture. You saw Brighton scored 3. They had the Semedo red card. I think very easy fixture to target. If you don't have one of Martinelli or Saka, you go in. If you don't have them, I'd be interested in Jesus. Other midfield punts, not many. I mean, City mid, if you are patient enough and brave enough to try and wait for a team leak, sure. Otherwise, if you can afford De Bruyne, that's the one.
If Foden doesn't play midweek, he has to play in the weekend, right?
Yeah, because we said this 3 times in a row and he's been benched for every the last 3 Prem games. I've got no confidence that Foden starts. Like I say, the only way you know that is if you're willing to wait for a leak. and run the risk
Yeah.
of not being able to make your transfers. That's basically City.
That's true. Crystal Palace guys though can be a possible punt. Both Izzy and Michael Olise. They are playing away to Nottingham this coming week.
Yeah. Zaha as well.
So,
if he's playing up top now.
Man,
Hate Zaha.
when we all sell him, he scores. Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, less say about Zaha the better. But yeah.
I mean,
Crystal
both his
Palace
returns.
possible
I'm sorry, I need to complain about Will Zaha just for a bit. Both of his returns were rubbish returns, right? The goal comes from like West Ham right back, just passes it straight to Palace and they score. And then his assist, which is like the last kick of the game, Olise doesn't even shoot straight, right? He shoots against a defender, hits Cresswell and like loops in. And somehow Zaha gets 12 points. Yeah. But Forest are bad. We know Forest are bad. Conceded 5 to Arsenal. So I think easy, Eze or Zaha, both worthy punts, I think.
Would you go for, speaking of Arsenal, would you go for Jesus as a punt?
I would absolutely go for Jesus. I think he's not getting a lot of credit because there's some stat, right? I think he's got like 11 missed chances, big chances. Like that's the highest in the league or something. But
and it is an issue that we kind of saw it coming because it was the same when he was at City. He keeps missing big chances.
Yeah, I think you can see there are a lot of chances I watched Jesus have at Arsenal, and I think I can see why Haaland was bought. Like that header he had against Chelsea, right? I can see why you would buy Haaland because Haaland probably puts away that header and Jesus doesn't. So, yep, he's not your premium striker, but he's 8 million, he's getting a lot of chances. He has to score at some point, law of averages. And look how much we dominated Chelsea, right? It was one-way traffic. And that's Chelsea, who, for all their flaws, are a much better team than Wolves. So I think more than a reasonable punt in Gabriel Jesus. And in some ways, maybe more predictable than Darw-In. Like, I'm tempted to go Darw-In this week, but I'm quite scared. I don't know if I'll get a red card or a goal. Whereas with Jesus, you kind of expect that he's going to want to try and score. People want to help him try and score because everybody knows that the duck is there. And Arteta, to his credit, Mikel Arteta, maybe it's a flaw, but he doesn't take him off because he really wants him to score. Like, I think he started that Europa game, didn't need to because Arteta wanted him to score. Played almost 90 minutes against Forest, again, because Arteta really just wants to get him a goal. So at some point, it's just got to go in.
Yeah. Plus, he maybe has the motivation of trying to secure a starting spot in the Brazil team.
Yeah,
because I don't think it's clear-cut who's going to be the actual striker. It's between him and Richarlison, I think.
Yeah, Richarlison would be first choice if he was fit, but since he's not been fit, I think Jesus has definitely got a shot at trying to get that opening slot. So like we said about Trossard and all these other players, they've still got a lot to play for. So yeah, I think Gabriel Jesus has been really unlucky. Poor finishing maybe, but he's getting in the right positions. Great chances against Forest, great chance against Chelsea. Wolves are just such a poor defense at the moment right now. Still no new coach. I mean, Lopetegui is coming only after the World Cup. I think, you look at this chart, right? Chelsea didn't have anything. It was all Arsenal.
Yeah, unfortunately no haul for my two Arsenal players.
Yeah, need to own Gabriel. Unfortunately, who is not going to the World Cup. Let's talk contingency plans, okay? Assuming, because Pep, I don't know if Pep just doing this to mess with us, but he said Haaland, we will see. He's decided every press conference now is just we will see. He gave another interview yesterday and he still stalling on Haaland. Haaland to me looked perfectly fine when he came on. He gave an interview to Norwegian TV where he said, I feel fine, it's not up to me. But let's just play devil's advocate. If there are any doubts over Haaland this week, who would you captain as an alternative to Haaland?
So the problem with my team is that I have no other premium aside from Haaland. I was denied the move to turn Foden into KDB last week by the FPL servers. And I don't know if it's worth doing it this week.
Why not?
I think high chance Foden starts. Famous last words, but
very famous last words.
They're not playing midweek, so
they are playing Carabao Cup tonight.
If what I meant is that if Foden doesn't play midweek, which come on, he's not gonna play the Carabao Cup, right?
He played a dead rubber against Sevilla.
But it's the Champions League, this is the Carabao Cup. But anyway, if he doesn't play, then I'll be fairly certain that he starts this week.
And if he does?
Then, if he does start?
Yeah, if Foden plays. I think that's a realistic scenario.
What, Captain Foden?
No, I think Foden may play the League Cup game. So if he does, because a lot of people I saw Foden last week. But
then Foden's out for me.
Okay. And do you go to KDB then? Would you captain KDB?
No, I think this week, since it's the last week, we're all feeling punty. I might just do a punty captain.
Okay.
Maybe someone like Saka, Almiron, maybe the most informed player in the entire league.
Against Chelsea? I mean, we both own Miguel Almiron, and if you don't, you should get on him. But would you captain him against Chelsea? I feel like that's...
Newcastle at home. And have you seen Chelsea the past 2 games?
I have.
Not been convincing.
Yeah.
Newcastle at home though. Ooh. So, it is, I think, I can see Chelsea conceding, definitely. I can see Almiron scoring. So, yeah, Almiron maybe.
No Liverpool players?
I don't have a Liverpool player.
Okay, but step away from your team, Sam. You're good.
Oh, I do have Fabinho, but it feels like I don't have a Liverpool player.
Okay, leaving your team aside, Sam, would you, if you owned Salah, if you owned maybe a Trent, for example, you want to be a bit more creative, or Robertson, would you consider, or Darwin, would you captain Darwin,
I would not captain any Liverpool player except maybe Salah, I think.
Okay.
Darwin's too unpredictable.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
Maybe Salah. Yeah, I think only Salah. If I had Salah, I would captain him probably.
Okay, fair enough. I would agree with you. If you're not confident enough on Haaland's minutes, like I can go KDB to Salah. I really don't want to because it's so boring. But if I'm not confident about
just captain KDB, I think. Yeah.
Captain KDB
KDB
over
is
captain.
perfectly fine option to have, Siva.
He's perfectly fine, but I guess it's the fear, right? But yeah, you got to sort of weigh up that fear. I feel more confident about captaining Haaland versus like Haaland. The second he was on, you just knew he was going to score. You don't get that same rush of energy with KDB. And Southampton, no manager. I don't think the new guy Nathan Jones, if he's in, may not be in by the Liverpool game. And even if he is in, Southampton were really, really poor against Newcastle. Like I would want a Liverpool attacker.
But no manager bounce. It's not new manager bounce. It's the first game where your manager's fired and you haven't got a new manager yet. There's always a bounce. Always.
I can't see it, mate. They're playing Ainsley Maitland-Niles. He looks awful. Like I don't know what's happened to him. They were just really poor against Newcastle. And I think there's a lot of space. Especially I'm excited about Darwin because they gave up a lot of chances down that left flank and Darwin always looks threatening. Like
Darwin always gets in good positions. Just doesn't finish as it.
Yeah. Hard to say. But yeah, I think you're right. If you're going to captain somebody from the Liverpool team, I think Salah. I don't mind owning Darwin, but I think captaincy is just probably too far. I feel much safer captaining a De Bruyne or even, like you say, Almiron. Maybe not Almiron. I think Wilson, if he's fit. I think I'd be more interested. Kane.
Maybe. Yeah, Kane, I guess, for the safe 8 points.
High floor, I think is just how you refer to it.
Yeah, high floor.
Alright, I think that's enough for us, Sam. Bit of an abrupt ending, but let's bring it to a halt, and we will be back for Game Week 17, of course, and you will still see us online for World Cup Fantasy. I expect Sam's draft team by the end of the week,
I'll have it, Siva. I'll send it to you.
There you go.
It has Mitrovic inside. Wow.
Ooh, spicy. Alright, cheers, guys.
Yeah.
Okay,
get those green arrows for this last game week before the World Cup and enjoy your winter, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you after Christmas.
Cheers. Bye.